Okay, great. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. My name is Susan Macbeth. I'm the founder and owner of Adventures by the Book, and I'd like to welcome you to our very special Strong Women, Strong Voices adventure today in support of Sue Monk Kidd and the Parkinson's Foundation. So for those of you who aren't familiar, I founded Adventures by the Book 15 years ago, more than 15 years ago now, with the belief that books connect us, build a community, and bring us together, especially in times like this when the world can seem like really a divided place. And so when I heard that our beloved Sue Monk Kidd was living with Parkinson's, we wanted to bring the community together in support. And I personally first fell in love with her, like many of you, when she wrote her debut novel, The Secret Life of Bees, which touched me greatly at a time when I really needed it in my life. And she once said herself, if you encounter writing infused with soul, you know it. And when you read Sue Monk Kidd's books, you know it. Her books are infused with soul. I've that book has stayed with me, and her writing has stayed with me like many other readers. I actually learned about her journey with Parkinson's from Christina Baker Klein. We were having a conversation, I don't know, Christina, maybe 6 months ago when she was in San Diego, and she was telling me about Sue, and I had no idea because I said it had always been my dream to host her for an event. And she says, no, she's not touring, and she's got this beautiful new book out, Writing Creativity and Soul. And I said, I think we just need to come together. And so thank you, Christina, for planting that seed and inspiring this evening. So tonight is about giving back, but it's more than that. It's a chance to celebrate creativity, resilience, community. And throughout March, we've had all these lovely 20 New York Times, USA Today, international best-selling authors. You've seen them on social media promoting the cause and in support of Sue and Parkinson's. And we thank all of you for being here tonight. We are donating 20% of all book proceeds from this event to the Parkinson's Foundation, and you can still get your books. We're going to leave that link open the rest of the week, and those purchases will also count towards that donation. So thank you for all of you who have already pre-ordered books, and for those of you who will be doing so afterwards. It's really a meaningful experience. So we want to get started. Oh, and just one reminder is we are going to do a giveaway. All of our authors have generously donated a copy of their book for our grand prize giveaway, which you have to be present to win at the end of the program. So you don't want to miss that. You're going to win 20 amazing books. It's very exciting. But first, we want to get started with the Parkinson's Foundation to ground us in the impact of their work. So I want to introduce Catherine Shepherd, who is the Vice President of individual giving at the Parkinson's Foundation. And I don't know, Francesca Villa is also here from the Parkinson's Foundation. It's my understanding Catherine's going to speak, but we welcome both of you, and whoever's going to speak, thank you for being here, and take it away.
Thank you so much, Susan. Hi. As Susan said, I'm Catherine Shepherd. I'm the Associate Vice President of Individual Giving at the Parkinson's Foundation. I'd like to begin by thanking each of the authors and for everybody attending for being part of this incredibly meaningful project. And a very special thank you to Sue for shining a light on Parkinson's disease, raising awareness, and continuing to build and foster community for all who are impacted. The Parkinson's Foundation is truly honored to be part of this project because it so deeply reflects our belief in joining forces. It is by doing this that we can improve lives and advance toward a cure. I am so very excited to be with you all on the eve of Parkinson's Awareness Month, where we will be spending the coming days and weeks sharing out information and resources with the theme, Find Real Answers, connecting people to reliable science-backed information while amplifying real-life PD experiences. For over half a century, we've made tangible progress on all fronts, from PD generation, the largest clinical study of Parkinson's, to breakthrough treatments. Today, we continue to provide life-changing support to people living with Parkinson's and caregivers, fund game-changing research on treatment and care, and convene the best minds from every corner of the global Parkinson's community to find new approaches that enhance care and move us closer to a cure. In our day-to-day work, we focus on educating communities and healthcare providers on best practices that improve and enhance that care. the same time, our helpline is available to provide real-time support, connecting individuals and families with trusted information and guidance as they navigate the complexities of Parkinson's. At the heart of everything we do is a commitment to listening to people living with Parkinson's, their caregivers, and the providers who support them. These insights shape our priorities and drive our impact. Together, we are a powerful network working toward a shared goal, changing the future of Parkinson's disease. None of this would be possible without the support of so many like you. From the Parkinson Foundation, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. And I just read or heard the other day that Parkinson's disease is now the #1 neurological disorder in the world, surpassing Alzheimer's disease. And I did not know that.
Yeah. Yes, we are seeing more people being diagnosed and more people seeing their physicians about it. And so while that's positive, it does mean that we are seeing an increase in those numbers.
Yeah. And so it just goes to show how important your work is. So thank you for doing everything that you do. And Francesca as well. Thank you for being here today. So next up, Sue Monk Kid, we know you're out there and we love you and we're here to support you. And she sent in a message that we're going to play for you. And Brooklyn, would you like to cue that up now?
Okay, I'm gonna play it. Please let me know if you can't hear it.
Hi, I'm Sue Monk Kid. And this is Barney, who's standing in as my support dog today. He's supposed to be helping me with my trimmer, but he's failing at the moment, so we'll see if this dog can calm me down as we go. When I found out that Adventures by the Book was bringing together 20 extraordinary women writers to support me and to create a fundraiser for Parkinson's disease, I was frankly overwhelmed. I felt embraced by the community of women writers and readers, the generosity of Adventures by the Book, of these 20 women writers, of you by being here, is one of the most beautiful things that has happened to me. I would like to say just a few words about Parkinson's. As you know, it is a neurodegenerative brain disease without a cure. Yet, the Parkinson Foundation, which is the beneficiary of this benefit, is a splendid organization dedicated to finding a cure and funding research and giving hope to people like me who have the disease. What a lot of people don't realize is that Parkinson's is quickly and quietly becoming a national crisis and a global pandemic. It has surpassed Alzheimer's as the fastest growing neurological disease in the world. Every 6 minutes, someone in the US hears the words, "You have Parkinson's." I heard those words when I was in the midst of writing my novel, The Book of Longings. And since then, I've done everything in my power to slow the progression of this disease. But I continually ask myself, how can I make meaning out of having Parkinson's? And that in itself has become a profound journey for me, really a spiritual journey. I found in the midst of my disease, within the illness, there is possible a coexistence of pain and joy, of losses and gifts. And one of the greatest gifts I receive has been the expressions of love. Willa Cather wrote, that where there is great love, there are always miracles. You have given me great love. And for that, I can only say from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
And thank you, Sue. You have given us so much over the years. It's the least we can do. Whew. Okay. Next up, I'd like to welcome Fiona Davis. And Fiona is very graciously offering to talk to us about her personal journey because she also is living with Parkinson's, and she is also a writer living with Parkinson's. So Fiona, thank you for being here today with us to share your experience and your journey.
Thank you for having me. I just want to say what an honor it is to be here tonight. Sue is a beautiful writer and a beautiful person, and I love that we're all banding together for this important cause. So my own Parkinson's diagnosis came in 2020 when I was 53. I first noticed that my right hand shook a little when I held my phone, and I ignored it for a while. And then I saw a doctor, then a neurologist, and then a movement disorder specialist, and got the diagnosis. In fact, I got the diagnosis the day after I learned that one of my books had hit the New York Times bestseller list, the first book of mine to do so. So it was quite a roller coaster of a week. 6 years later, the tremor is now in both my right arm and my right leg. Plus, there's a few other not so fun symptoms. And unfortunately, there's nothing out there to stop the progression. There's one thing that doctors say is helpful in slowing down the progression: hard aerobic exercise. When I heard that, I was like, really? So yeah, I said, really? Okay, so I work out 5 days a week and I just consider it my medicine. I've been very public about my diagnosis. I published an essay about it on Good Morning America's website. I mentioned it during book talks, and I even included a character with Parkinson's in one of my books. And it's a way of exploring what it means to live with an incurable disease. And these days, I find that whenever I do an author talk, someone approaches me in the signing line or after, and they confide and they whisper that they have it, or their husband has it, and they haven't told a soul because they're scared they'll lose their job. And my heart just breaks for them because keeping this a burden keeping it a secret like that is a huge burden. And there's this enormous community of people with Parkinson's out there. And I hope some of them are joining us tonight and they know that they count, that you're not alone, and that we're here to support you. So these days, there are times in the afternoon I can't type because my meds have worn off, and going on book tour can be pretty grueling. But I swear the joy of hearing from readers gives me a dopamine hit that makes me stronger. So I thank you for your emails and your posts supporting those of us who involuntarily ended up riding the Parkinson's bus. My hope is we will all benefit from new discoveries that are right on the horizon, but that can only happen with your support. Currently, 1.2 million people in America have Parkinson's. Like they said, it's the fastest growing neurological disease. And that means if you don't know anyone with it now, you probably will eventually, unless we find a cure. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart for considering making a donation to the Parkinson's Foundation tonight. And I want to thank Sue and for everything she does to make the world a better place. I can feel the love from so many of my favorite authors just beaming from the screen of my laptop to yours. And it's truly an honor to be part of this special night. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fiona. Heartfelt words, really. Thank you. I don't know. This is going to be really difficult to get through. Next up, Ann Kidd Taylor, who is Sue's daughter, couldn't be with us, but she did send a message. We wanted to talk to her a little bit about your mother as a writer, as a mother, as a source of strength to you. So, Brooklyn, you want to cue up Ann Kidd Taylor's message?
Hello, everyone. I'm Ann Kidd Taylor. I'm honored to join you in supporting and celebrating my mom, Sumut Kid. For as long as I can remember, my mom and I have been travel partners, creative partners, collaborators, and co-writers. She's the one who, as a mother and a mentor, has always had an unwavering belief in me and been my greatest source of encouragement. Growing up, my sense of what a writing life looks like and what it means to be in relationship with my creativity was shaped by observing her deeply engaged with her writing. When I was very young, my view was from the nook beneath her desk, where I would sometimes crawl and sit while she typed on an electric typewriter. And later, when I was older, her study, where she wrote, was next to my bedroom. And now we are next door neighbors, close enough that we hear the same barred owls calling from the woods around our houses. Well, on the day that my mom told me about her diagnosis, she said that she believed Parkinson's would be her greatest teacher. At the time, I didn't know exactly what that meant, but I knew her. And I suspected that she was talking about how having Parkinson's was going to rip the band-aids off of some of life's greatest mysteries and complexities. I didn't know how my mom having Parkinson's would be a teacher to me too. And really, I was scared to find out, and sometimes I still am. While I'd not imagined our latest partnership, being a care partner made me an up-close witness as she grappled with the diagnosis, tried to find meaning in it, and acceptance. I learn all of the time what I suppose we all come to find out at some point or another, if we're lucky, that hope and despair and suffering and laughter can and do exist together. There's a lot of joy and gratitude for my mom and I and doing the things we've always loved doing together, like discussing our creative pursuits and painting at her kitchen table. And there's an abundance of gratitude for each of you for bringing awareness to Parkinson's and support for my mom, and to the millions of people who bravely face Parkinson's every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. And I just wanted to show her book, The Shark Club. Each of our authors has a featured book tonight that's on our website that you can purchase. Many of you already have, but you can purchase all week. And 20% of the proceeds will go to the Parkinson's Foundation. And I did not hold up Fiona's beautiful book, The Stolen Queen. So that is a featured title as well. Beautiful book. Thank you, Fiona. So next up, we have a recorded message from Kristen Harmel, who wishes she could be here, but she is off on book tour because this beauty, The Stolen Life of Colette Marceau, came out in paperback today. So she is on book tour, but she did send a message to share tonight. So Brooklyn, you want to cue up Kristen Harmel's message?
Hi there, I'm New York Times bestselling author Kristen Harmel, but more importantly tonight, I am a big Sumut Kid fan. So her books have made an impact in so many lives over the last few decades, but it is Sue's openness and honesty about her battle with Parkinson's that has touched me most deeply, and that's why I'm here tonight, to help celebrate Sue and encourage you to make a book purchase from Adventures by the Book to support the Parkinson's Foundation. So I know from experience that it's very difficult to be a public figure dealing with what is essentially a very private health matter. But Sue has been so brave in speaking out about the disease and how it's impacting her life. You've already heard tonight from my friend Fiona Davis, so you know that she's another person who is very bravely, very openly talking about Parkinson's, which she's also been diagnosed with, to help raise awareness about the disease. So I hope that you will join me, along with Fiona, the wonderful folks at Adventures by the Book, and all the amazing authors here tonight in celebrating Sue and supporting the Parkinson's Foundation in her honor. Happy reading, my friends, and have a great time tonight.
Thank you so much, Kristen. We wish you were here with us tonight, but we hope your tour is going well. And again, paperback of The Stolen Life of Colette Morceau, or you can also pre-order her new book, Meet Me in Paris, which is also on the website. Next up, we have 5 authors, actually 6, thank you, who are going to talk about strong voices. So this is a Strong Women, Strong Voices event. So we're going to be joined by, all right, let me pull up your books. Shilpi Samaya Gowda, New York Times International Bestselling author of A Great Country, wonderful book. And we also have Siddiqa Johnson with her new book, The Keeper of Lost Children, amazing book. If you haven't read it, highly recommend it. We also have Janie Chang joining us from Canada. The Fourth Princess is her featured title. Thank you, Janie. And I know she was just on tour in Canada with Katie Quinn, and I think Donna Jones-Aldward as well. We have Eliza Knight, making sure I have everyone on the panel. Confessions of a Grammar Queen, wonderful book. Next up, the Book Club for Troublesome Women. And I know Marie Bostwick, and I have a feeling that she knows what she's talking about when we're talking about troublesome women, huh? In a very good way, in a very good way. And last but not least, we have Tracy Anderson Wood and her beautiful book, Catherine the Wright Sister. So we'd like to welcome these 6 authors. And I've asked them to talk a little bit about how women's voices, especially in literature, make a difference right now. And we have about 10 minutes for this conversation. So you can all speak individually or host a conversation. I don't know if you've talked amongst yourselves, but let's go ahead and start with Shilpi, if you want to get started and talk about that. How do women's voices, especially in literature, make a difference?
Well, it is, to me, this is the central question of why I am a writer, and more importantly, why I was a reader first. So for me, those two things are a way of trying to understand the world around me. And the more foreign the topic or the crazier the world gets, the more important that becomes, that literature is a lens through which to try to make sense of things. And so, I think that one of the things that's been true throughout history is that there are people we don't hear from. There are stories we never hear. And, the first novel I was inspired to write was really from the perspective of a woman who gives her girl baby up for adoption in India when she doesn't have any other option to preserve her life. And it occurred to me that that was a perspective that we didn't know. We'd heard from adoptive mothers, we'd heard from, traditional mothers, but we had never heard the perspective of the woman who has to, forsake her child and what that might mean to the rest of her life. So that was really, the impetus for me to start writing. And it's carried through, I think, each of my books. Is, that question of who aren't we hearing from? What stories don't we know? And how can we round out our view of society and history?
Thank you. Beautiful answer. Who's next? How about Siddiqa?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I am Siddiqa Johnson, and this is just such an honor. I feel overwhelmed, actually. And I know you all are probably feeling it too, because there's something very powerful that happens when women get together. And this energy, this synergy that we're all feeling right now, like my heart is beating so fast in my chest because we are getting together in the support of our sister, of our writing sister. And I'm so grateful to be a part of it. When I think about my writing, for me, it's always an ambitious woman at the center of my stories. There is always a woman who has been marginalized, forgotten, erased, or her story has been untold. You see that in my novel, Yellow Wife, when I discovered an enslaved woman named Mary Lumpkin, who had no agency over her life, but all of the markers that I read on the Richmond slave trail pretended as if she did. And my book, The House of Eve, I write a story that was loosely inspired by my grandmother, who was pregnant with my mom at age 14. She gave birth to her at 15. She was unmarried. this was the 1950s, and there was so much shame and secrecy surrounding my mother's birth. And I was always curious about what that felt like what that meant for women, like what options did my grandmother have in the 50s when she found herself pregnant and alone and unmarried. And then I think of my novel, Keeper of Lost Children, which was the discovery of a very ambitious and very important woman named Mabel Grammer, who discovered mixed race children in orphanages in Germany. These children were a little known consequence of World War II, but no one knew about the woman who found homes for over 500 of them and was so kind and considerate that she adopted 12 children for herself. And so I would say at the center of my writing, it's always an ambitious woman. And I'm always writing for my characters to be seen. I want readers, particularly women readers, to feel less alone, to not have to carry their shame by themselves, to use these stories as a vehicle for conversation, for healing. And I'm really grateful to be able to be here and to be a part of this conversation.
Thank you, Sadiqa. And you do have a powerful voice indeed. Highly recommend all of her books. Thank you. Next up, Janie Chang.
Hi, everyone. I am so glad to be here and so honored to share this time with so many wonderful authors in support of such a worthwhile cause. And in thinking about women's voices in literature, I feel that right now, more than ever, we need to be strong. We need our strength, the strength to face adversity, to overcome personal challenges, to stand up for each other, to support our communities and our neighbors. And for me, women's voices in fiction offer ways to show us that there can be many different kinds of strength. As an author of historical fiction, I firmly believe that stories about voices from the past can offer those possibilities because in the past, and yes, admittedly, even now, women lacked agency either by law or by tradition or by societal norms. Their voices, our points of view from the past might tell stories about women defying family or cultural expectations. They might talk about going to war, but they could also talk about quiet acts of resistance, of joining together for social justice, or simply enduring long enough to live another day and get up to do it all over again. It's been said that through books, through fiction, we can live many lives. So I think we can find encouragement in reading about women, both past and present, who survived, who achieved their goals. Their voices can give us ideas for how to challenge, how to cope, and so importantly, how to hope. Thank you.
Totally agree with you, Janie. Thank you for that heartfelt message. And to learn more about our authors, so you're inspired by them as you're listening to them talk, thank you to Brooklyn and Marissa. They're typing up their websites and social media handles that you can follow them, learn more about them. But we also will send out a thank you e-blast tomorrow, which we will record this message, download it to or is it uploaded? I don't know, to our YouTube channel. And we'll send you the link so you can play it, share it as well, and include those links to all of our authors tonight, and of course to Sue Monk Kids. So thank you. Next up, Eliza Knight.
Hello, everyone. I am also honored to be here amongst all these amazing authors, chatting with you and supporting Sue and Fiona and the Parkinson's Foundation, which is a cause near and dear to my heart as my grandfather also had Parkinson's. And I've been a longtime fan of Sue's emotionally resonant work, including Writing Creativity and Soul, which I absolutely loved. If you haven't read it, highly recommend you do that. So thank you. For me, women's voices in literature are doing more than just telling stories right now. They're sparking conversations, which is something I think is so important for women to be able to talk about all the things that are going on in their lives that they might connect with in a character in a book. So we're seeing characters that are challenging outdated narratives like the perfect wife, the silent mother, the woman in the background. And instead of stories centering around ambition, identity, oh my gosh, I said that wrong. So instead, the stories are centering around women who are seeking ambition, identity, reinvention, and power, especially in spaces where women have historically had to fight to be heard, like the workplace and even the home. And I think that shifting that narrative matters because readers are looking for something real, even when they're reading fiction, and seeing women navigating careers and expectations and personal identity, whether it's breaking barriers in a historical workplace or navigating a path during a summer of change, it validates their experiences but expands what they believe is possible in their own lives. And then also hopefully, like I mentioned, sparks those conversations between each other, and they can motivate each other to make a difference in their lives. So I think especially now when women's lives are constantly being debated and defined in public spaces, and there's chatter about women taking a step back in a lot of places as well, it's really important in literature that women can see that they can define themselves on their own terms and connect with the characters and each other. So women supporting each other and finding autonomy is a theme I explore a lot in my own work and my own life. Writing about women at turning points, navigating change, work, family, reclaiming power, those I think are the most important stories. And I know that all the authors here have those sorts of themes in their books, which makes me love you guys even more. So that's what I believe.
Thank you, Eliza, as do you. I appreciate your being here today. Next up, Marie Bostwick.
Hi. This is such a good question. I love this. And I think it really gets to the core of the reason we write, why women's voices matter in literature. It's always been the case, but I think it's more the case now than ever because we are in an epidemic of loneliness. People, I just have a sense, feel so isolated. And when we read, we realize we're not alone. We realize that there are people like us. So my new book is the Book Club for Troublesome Women, and it came about because of a conversation I had with my mom, who is just about to be 93. And we were talking, and she told me one day, she says, I don't know if I ever told you, but I read The Feminine Mystique back in the day, and it changed my life. And I didn't know. And she told me about it. And her experience reading that book really was life-changing. And as I dug into it, I saw that my mom's experience was not uncommon. She had felt like there was something wrong with her because she wanted more from life, even though, according to societal standards, she already had everything. And she read this book and she realized she wasn't alone. And I remember her telling me she finished it and thought, oh my God, there's going to be a revolution. And, she didn't exactly pick up a pitchfork and a torch, but in fact, she did create a revolution in her own life, as did many other people. And what I have found over my years as a writer is that part of my job is to entertain people, and I don't take that lightly. We need escape sometimes in life. We need a way to walk away from troubles, but we also need a way to try on other lives. Fiction gives us a chance to sort of try on a life that maybe we admire the way we admire a jacket in a window. We put it on. Does this look good on me? Is it comfortable? Does it fit? And what I have found from the mail I get from readers all the time is that fiction is phenomenally powerful. It is so much more than just a good story, although a good story is an amazing thing. But it does, in fact, change lives. Just this last week, I had a person write to me who said, I read your book, and at the end, I decided that my dream is possible and it is not too late. And Marie, I filled out the application for graduate school today. And I burst into tears because what can you do? So I can't talk to every woman. I can't encourage every woman, but I can encourage a lot of women. And I can tell women that their voices matter. And I can tell them that they do not need to be quiet. So for all of you in all your positions, and I especially right now want to give a shout out because I know there are a lot of people here who are caregivers. And I just want to say that you feel seen, which isn't really the question, but it's in my heart. So, and I think at the end of the day, That is why our voices matter, because seeing women in literature help all women feel seen and important.
Beautifully expressed, Marie. Thank you. And last but certainly not least on this question, Tracy Anderson Wood.
Hi, everybody. I'm so thrilled to be here. As a biographical historical fiction writer, I'm very proud to pay tribute to Sue Monk Kidd, especially now as we wrap up Women's History Month. You know that 80 years, almost exactly 80 years ago today, U.S. Congressional Representative Helen Gahagan Douglas made a speech that ended Joseph McCarthy's reign of terror. She emphasized the achievements of democracy in providing freedom and a high standard of living for the American people. She fought for human rights and was honored by the National Association of Colored Women for advancing race and gender equality. She fought to save the California redwoods. Having coffee in Vienna one day in 1938, she met a Nazi sympathizer, and that set her on a path to fight Nazism. Then, after losing a dirty, mudslinging election for Senate to Richard Nixon in 1950, she coined his everlasting nickname, Tricky Dick, and exposed a lot of his dirty tricks. And yet, so few remember her today. Sure, you can read a biography or look her up in Wikipedia, but without literary fiction bringing these stories to life, they and their lessons are lost. We need inspiration from the women who went before us to help us through the challenges we face today. Now, I haven't written about Helen Gahagan Douglas. Maybe one of these great ladies here tonight will. But she is just one example of the thousands more of untold women's stories begging to be elevated through fiction. We have only scratched the surface. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tracy. And thank you to all of our 6 authors who shared their thoughts on strong voices in women's literature, truly inspiring us tonight. Thank you. And just a reminder, I talked about already the book sales for the donation, but if you want to make a direct donation to the Parkinson's Foundation, I think Catherine put in that link at the beginning, and Brooklyn and Marissa have been putting in it periodically throughout. If you'd like to make a direct donation to the Parkinson's Foundation, thank you for doing that. Next up, we had on our schedule a video message of support from Marie Benedict, but there was a technical glitch and we weren't able to queue up her video. So instead, we have a short message from Martha Hall Kelly, who was last minute not able to attend, but she wanted to send a message to everyone. So cue that up, please.
Hi, everybody. Martha Hall Kelly here. I've been thinking a lot about strong women ahead of tonight's program. And I grew up with a lot of strong women and write about them like all of us here tonight do. And I keep coming back to one woman, someone I never wrote about. Her name is Irene Zisblatt. And I met her in an event for Lilac Girls years ago. And she introduced me one night at an event, and she and her daughter offered me a ride home after in their car. I was staying, I don't know, at a Days Inn or something. I ended up spending 2 hours in the backseat of their car just listening to Irene's story. And even when I talk about it today, I still get so moved by her story. And I feel like she was such a strong woman, but it was the way that she reacted to what happened to her that I admire so much and find so inspiring. She was 8 years old when she was selected at Auschwitz from the platform. She was with her mother and siblings. And her mother had blue eyes, and Josef Mengele wanted her for his experiments. She refused to leave her children, but he took Irene instead because she had green eyes. It's such a horrible time in the world that Irene got caught up in. But before they were separated, Irene's mother gave her 4 diamonds that it was everything that the family had, and told Irene to swallow them and keep retrieving them so that they could keep their diamonds, which she did. And Irene's family didn't survive, but Irene did. And she came to America and she built a life, raised a family, and wrote about it so beautifully in her memoir, The Fifth Diamond, a book that I give everyone. And everyone seems to really be inspired by it. So today, Irene lives in Florida. She's in her 90s and she swims every day, does yoga, and she is without question the most positive, luminous person I've ever met. And around her neck, she wears those 4 diamonds and a beautiful necklace. So to me, Irene is the ultimate strong woman, not because she didn't break, but because after everything that she went through as an 8-year-old child, she chose to live joyfully. And to be honest, I don't think I could be as courageous as Irene. There's just no way. But when I need strength, I think of Irene and her diamonds. And I hope that tonight her story gives you something to carry too.
Thank you, Martha. And for those of you who haven't read it, her book, The Martha's Vineyard Beach and Book Club, is such a great read. And she writes about such strong women. And also Marie Benedict, who I understand we're trying to work on the video. So we may have that for you shortly. But I wanted to show her new book, which is beautiful, The Daughter of Egypt. So hope to queue up her video shortly. Next up, we have our next panel, Susan Meisner, Heather Webb, Pam Jenoff, Jenna Blum, and unfortunately, Catherine Stockett had a family emergency and can't join us, but I wanted to show their books because they're beauties as well. Susan Meisner has got A Map to Paradise, which I love the cover too. And Heather Webb's new book, The Hope Keeper, very exciting. My pile's getting bigger and bigger. And that pile of books that I'm showing you is the grand prize tonight. So some lucky person is going to win all of these titles. Pam Jenoff's The Twilight in Paris, lovely book. And Jenna Blum, her new book, Murder Your Darlings. Love the title too, by the way. And Catherine Stockett couldn't be here, but I wanted to show her book, as she came out with The Help years ago, and we've been anxiously awaiting her next book, The Calamity Club, and somebody will win that as well. And did I capture everyone? Yes. So our question for this group in our Strong Women, Strong Voices is, what does strong women mean to you? We talked about what strong voices meant, but what does strong women mean to you as a writer or as a person? So let's get started with Sue Meisner. Welcome, Sue.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be in on this wonderful event. Like you, Susan, I was moved by The Secret Life of Bees all those years ago, and so it's just very meaningful for me to be here. So I write historical fiction, and I write about women who don't know they're strong until they're put to the test. I like to find an event in history, maybe an event that hasn't had a lot of light thrown on it, and then expose that event, and especially concentrate on the women who lived through it and probably were changed by it. So I feel like it's been my lane now since 2008 to write about women who don't know they're strong, who find their strength within these events that happen. I like to find or create a character who you would think is maybe ordinary, someone like you or me, but they're thrust into an extraordinary circumstance. And out of that crucible, they find their strength. And I think one of the strengths of strong women is it's a subtle one. It's not one that you see right away. It can fly under the radar, I guess you could say. And that is that they know how to respond. They don't react, they respond. And sometimes that's a subtle difference, but to respond to something sometimes causes you to pause. And that pause gives them time to discern their next step. On the other hand, if you're a reactor, it usually makes you operate too quickly. And I guess all of us do that too. But I feel like the women that I write about, they're put into an extraordinary circumstance, whether it's the 1906 San Francisco earthquake or the eugenics movement, which was terrible, or even here with my latest A Map to Paradise is set during the Cold War and the Hollywood Red Scare. They're put into an environment that's going to test their mettle, and out of that environment, they find out they really were strong all along. They just didn't know it. And I think that's the way it is for a lot of us too. You know, we're living in some really difficult times, and maybe someday there'll be historical fiction writers writing about us, about how we lived through these difficult years. And I feel like we are also in a place where we need to find our strength and operate out of it, because it'd be really difficult to kind of lose all your hope and to feel like there's what point is there? We don't have any power right now, or we're not able to exact any kind of change. But I feel like no, we're in a position and in a place in history right now where our strength can be it can be found, and I think it's finding the way to put it into practice. That's our purpose right now. Reacting is easy. There's a lot to react to, but I think it's our place to respond right now, and it's finding that place. I think those places are there. They're going to require some discernment, but look at history and you'll see that it's worth it.
So true. Wise words. Thank you, Sue. And I think Jenna Blum summed it up. Oh, we have power, baby. Thank you. Next up, Heather Webb.
Hi, delighted to be here to support such an important cause with amazing women, not just that I'm speaking with here, but in the audience, supporting us, supporting the Parkinson's Foundation. So, yeah, I think for me, strong women, I'm taking a little bit of a different tact. Like as a writer, I really like to look at women who make really imperfect choices and live imperfect lives. The kinds of characters that might challenge the way you think about who you are and challenge the way you think about what makes someone likable or not, and how they have to face the consequences of those choices and try to become a better version of themselves. I think that takes a ton of strength to look at your flaws, be faced with your flaws, and learn how to do better, be better, and whatever version that is, and also accept the parts that are just not, beautiful roses and perfect. So I love characters like that, and I like to look at characters like that. I think it takes a lot of strength to look at yourself really, really deeply and personally. And as a writer, so that's as an author, but as a person, as a writer, as a friend, I think being vulnerable is what makes a woman strong. I think that putting yourself out there and being the most honest, raw version of yourself when people may not like it, and it's okay because you know who you are. I think that takes a ton of strength and courage, and I love seeing it more and more with women. I'm seeing this feminine rage. Not that everybody has to be rageful, but it's really not about the rage. It's about embracing who we are and embracing the fact that we don't have to embody some vision of being a woman that has been sort of forced upon us as young girls. So I think for me, that's what it means to be a strong woman.
Thank you, Heather. Appreciate that. Next up, Pam Jenoff.
Hi, I'm just so very honored to be here in support of Sue and this important cause among so many of my most esteemed and dear friends and colleagues and readers in the queue who have just been with us for years and years in this community. So spectacular. I want to go back to what Sue said because it really resonated with me. At first I was like, she's saying what I was going to say. And then I was like, no, this segues nicely. So when I think about strong women and I think about the women I write, we're talking about women who, through normal events, would have walked a very set path. But as Sue said, because of war or other catastrophe, they are thrown off that path and they are tested and they are changed. And my very favorite thing is to see how these women respond to the challenges and how they grow. And oftentimes, what we see in history is we have women who are from very different backgrounds, who through normal events never would have met one another. But through war or other catastrophe, their paths cross and they have to transcend their differences and help one another. And I think this is such an important message for our lives today, because if readers can see and empathize with these women transcending differences, my personal hope is that it will reduce some of the otherness and the division that we are all feeling in our lives right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those powerful words, Pam. Jenna Blum.
I guess I can unmute myself. It's rare that I'm actually quiet. So, hello, everybody. I'm really glad to be here tonight among so many people I love so much and so many writers whose works I have esteemed for so long. And dear friends and dear readers, thank you, Susan. Thank you for bringing us together to support Sue. I rarely understand the assignment well. So I wasn't thinking actually about how I write strong women in my books, although they are there. And my recent book has a couple of really squirrely ones for sure. But when I was thinking about strong women while listening to all of you talk, and you're all very hard acts to follow, by the way, I've been thinking about the fact that as I reach a certain age, I have many fewer F's left to give, which feels really good. So when Heather was talking about being rageful, I don't necessarily feel rageful, although I do a lot about politics, but I do feel a lot more easy about raising my voice and saying exactly what I mean to people instead of being polite. And that to me feels like a kind of strength, and it feels really good. And I have been encouraged in my work recently by my agent and my editor to keep stepping into my voice and stepping into my power in my work and on social, and I really appreciate that. But I think there's another kind of strength that comes not necessarily from charging into battle, like waving your sword or your pen, although I certainly love to do that. It comes from community. And Susan certainly knows this as a community builder. I have watched her with admiration for years and years as a woman who is the linchpin of a community, who like spins off ideas like sparks to try and draw people together in a number of different ways. And I know from my own experience that when I have asked people, when I have been in need to do things, and I have been what I consider to be weak and have said, hey, can you help me out with something? And people come together to help. I think that's when we are really strongest, is when we're together. So there's no better example of that than tonight. And I really appreciate us all being together. I think you can be strong as one person, but you're a lot stronger when you're with a bunch of people. And that's my answer as to what it is to be strong.
Absolutely agree with every word. Thank you, Jenna. And that concludes our panel of talking about strong women, strong voices. I'm so inspired by all of you. Next up, we have a recorded message from Donna Jones Allward, one of our Canadian authors, who has a new book, The Ship of Dreams, which has been out in Canada, but it was just released today in the US. So congratulations to her. And she will be on book tour, but you can listen to her message now.
Hi, everyone. It's Donna Jones Allward here. I'm sorry I could not be with you in person tonight. Unfortunately, some travel plans have me leaving in a couple of days for a research trip. So I'm taping this ahead of time. But I'm very happy to be participating in tonight's Strong Women, Strong Voices event. And very thrilled to be part of this for the amazing Sue Monk kid. I think what I love about this so much is how quickly so many of us were like, yes, count us in. And that's because the author community is very much a community, and we help each other and we stand up for each other. And, we ask, what do you need? And I love that about us. And I think I feel a little silly talking about my current book, which is Ship of Dreams, which is right there. But it's set aboard Titanic, and it is about two best friends who are very different, whose friendship is challenged. But, when it comes right down to it, it is, what do you need? What can I do? And how can we get through this together? How can I help? And that's something that's really important to me. And I'm just so thrilled that I can be part of this with all these other fantastic authors, some of whom I would fangirl over in a heartbeat. I'm a writer, but I'm still a reader, and I just feel like this is such amazing company to be in. Sue, I am so in awe of your strength and your grace and your resilience. It's something to aspire to. I wish you all the best as you take this take this journey as an author, as a woman, as a human being. So best of luck to you. Thank you all for including me in this evening. I'm just, again, so thrilled to be a part of it. And yeah, thank you so much. And thank you to Adventures by the Book for putting this all together. You guys make being a community even easier. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much, Donna. And I know we're running over a few minutes. I tried my very best to keep it tight at 1 hour, but thanks for your patience. We'll be winding up shortly. But I wanted to close with our last panel of 3 authors because they are very good friends with Sue Monk Kidd. We have Christina Baker Klein, who, as I mentioned earlier, was really the inspiration behind this event. So this event would not have happened without her and her friendship with Sue and suggesting that we do something. And her new book coming out soon is The Foursome, which, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about and so thrilled that we have a little arc here that we can read. And we also have my lovely mixed sunshine sister, Sarah McCoy, who's got This Beauty, Whatever Happened to Lori Lovely. And Paula McLean, don't hate me, but I don't have a copy of your book to show because I was at lunch with a friend today and I wanted to tell her all about your book. And I took your book in my car to lunch and then left it in my car. It's in my garage right now. So, but we do have, for a lucky winner, we have a copy of her beautiful new book, Skylark. So thank you all for joining us today. I want to talk a little bit with the 3 of you. If you can reflect on what moved you personally to stand with Sue Monk Kidd and be part of this special evening tonight. So Christina, since you were the impetus behind this, you want to get started?
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. What an amazing show of support for Sue and for this gorgeous book that we all love so much. Okay, I all 100% credit to Paula McLean. So Paula and I were teaching together in the south of France, having a gorgeous time last fall, and she was utterly consumed with trying to figure out how to help this book come to publication in a way that honored the story and the book, given what Sue has been grappling with. So I just felt so honored to be there. And at a certain point, I was like, can I get involved too? So it was really Paula who put it all in motion, of course, and not only put it in motion, but it was her brainchild to sort of figure out how to pull the writing community around her. Paula's amazing at that. I'm sure all of you know this already, but sorry, I turned on my thing and now I'm getting all these texts. But I have benefited from her generosity. And I have followed Sue's career forever, but to see someone jump into action the way Paula did was just incredibly inspiring to me. And Susan, I came to you as just an outgrowth of that. So I'm happy to be here, and I want to pass it off to Paula and let her tell you a little bit more about that. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And this to me is just such a remarkable example of what community is. You know, we say these words and they feel so empty sometimes, but I would follow Sue anywhere and basically do anything for her. And that might be true even if we had never met. I think her work is remarkable. I think she shows grace and class and intelligence and humanity with extra scoops. Do you ever think that like somebody gets a double scoop of humanity? If anybody has that, I think Sue has that. Years ago, I was on tour for Circling the Sun, and I was doing an event for Quail Ridge Books in North Carolina. It was this beautiful luncheon outside, and Sue had taken the day off with her daughter Anne to come to my event. I had never met her before, and I'm just such a huge fan of her work. And I just was so astonished that I don't think I had ever felt supported in quite that way by another author before. And yeah, I just think that it's a silly personal example of her generosity of spirit. And since then, I've just felt really, I don't know, closely bound to her as a person. And then when I learned about her illness, and particularly with this latest book, Writing Creativity and the Soul, learned that she couldn't go on tour to promote her own work. It just seemed to me to cry out for how we could all rise up and come beneath her to lift her wings, which are extraordinary wings, and she still has them. Her recorded message, as glitchy as it was earlier, moved me to tears. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I'm really extraordinarily grateful to you, Susan, as well, for joining us all together tonight for such a necessary and remarkable cause.
Thank you, Paula. Sarah.
And to jump off that, I think if I remember correctly, my brain is, we all, our memories kind of all go together. But I think after that event where Sue and Anne came to you at Quail Ridge, I met Paula that afternoon, and she said, "Oh my God, guess what? Sue Monk Kidd came to my luncheon," and she was so excited and she was so thrilled about it. And Sue and I, to answer your question that you posed to us at the beginning of this panel, why do we show up tonight for the event? And I showed up simply because Sue is a friend. Sue is a friend, whether she was a writer or she was queen of the universe or she was someone that who lives down the road from me. She's a friend. She's a friend. And I think that's something that we should all seek out and be willing, and especially in a time like this, to do whatever is necessary to support our friends, whoever those are in your sphere of influence, whether or not they're part of the writing community or not. It doesn't matter. If they're your friend, show up for them. Be tender to them, support them, give them your shoulder to lean on. And so that's why I'm here, because Sue's a friend. Yes, she's an incredible writer. Yes, she is a mentor to me. Yes, she has been my friend since a little Sarah, who had just put out like one or two books back in 2014, reached out to the Sue Monk Kid, and she wrote me back, and we started this relationship. It was a friendship. That's what started it, a friendship. And so that's really why I'm here and why I think that's what's connected me with each one of the panelists that I am friends with here, is that we have a friendship. And Susan, you are one of them. And together, that in itself is a power. That's a power. Women being friends, friendship in general, our writing community, there's a power there. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm supporting Sue. That's why I will support Sue off camera for the rest of my life. She is incredible, and I feel very blessed to have her in any capacity in my world. So that's my answer to the question.
Thank you so much for the three of you for your heartfelt and for your friendship with Sue. I mean, obviously she means a lot to you, as she does to us, but in a very special way. And I just want to read one message. There's so many wonderful messages in the chat box. I hope you've been reading those all along, from Kathleen, who said, I had read The Secret Life of Bees in Mermaid's Chair many years later at a turning point in my life. I read When the Heart Waits and Dance of the Dissident Daughter. She helped me to grow in spirituality with an understanding that organized religion is not the only path. I sometimes still pick up God's Joyful Surprise to read a reflection on a Sunday morning. And of course, The Invention of Wings was phenomenal. Thank you, Sue, for all your grace and reflections and perspective over the years, diving into creativity for the soul this weekend. And I can't recommend it enough. She can't be here on book tour, so just a few words from the inside flap of the book, from the best-selling author of The Secret Life of Bees and The Book of Longings, a book about the well springs of the inner life and the creative genius that lies in the unconscious, an inspiring and unforgettable guide to awakening the soul. Part memoir, part philosophical investigation, part advice to aspiring readers. Writing Creativity and Soul is a touchstone of the spirit, a work of profound pilgrimage that will be of value to aspiring writers and anyone who hungers to lead a deeper and more fulfilling life. And who doesn't? I can't tell you enough good things about this book. You see all my little notes. I've been reading it and loving every minute of it. Sue, you have inspired us for years. We are standing with you in your journey with Parkinson's. You continue to inspire us. We thank you all for being here today. For all of you authors, 20 New York Times, USA Today, and international best-selling authors to give up time out of their busy schedule to show their support and friendship with Sue, of other strong women of the Parkinson's Foundation. We're grateful to each and every one of you. To Catherine and Francesca from the Parkinson's Foundation, thank you for being here today. Do you have any words that you'd like to close with, Catherine?
This was incredible. And we are both, Francesca and I have been messaging each other, and we're just so honored to have been here tonight and to hear these words. And I hope that you will share out that if people have questions or need resources, please, the Parkinson's Foundation is here. And thank you again for tonight, Susan and Sue and all of you.
And thank you for the important work you do. Again, you can make your donation to the Parkinson's Foundation directly. There's a link in the chat box. There's also a link on our website. Again, you can purchase any of the books from us, but purchase them anywhere to show your support of these authors, and especially Writing Creativity and Soul. I hope you get a copy. It's really a magnificent book and goes to support a woman that has meant so much to us, even for those of us who have never met her over the years. Her words have touched us, and we're standing with you, Sue, from afar and through your words. So, and to our adventurers, thank you all for being here tonight. The fact that you showed up to support strong women, strong voices, and share your strong women voices with us, it means the world to us. Thank you for your support. And to all of you, thank you and have a good night.